Hey, this is Bear McCreary, composer for film, television, video games. You might have heard my music in God of War, Godzilla King of the Monsters, Battlestar Galactica, Walking Dead, a bunch of other fun stuff. And you are listening to Interview Under Fire.
All right. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to a brand new edition of IUF. This is your host, Sunny, back once again. Today, I am joined by, and you've heard him say it, Emmy and BAFTA award-winning composer, musician, to me, one of the most creatively ambitious minds in modern film, television, gaming, Bear McCreary. Bear, seriously honored to have you here. I know we're closing in around the release of your new rock album, The Singularity. Eclipses arriving July 31st through Sparks and Shadows Records. Make sure you know that. Honestly, this project feels massive, right? Not just musically, but conceptually too. You built this world, Bear, that pulls together progressive metal, cinematic storytelling, folk influences, even, and an insane lineup of collaborators. We'll get to that. Before we dive into everything, dude, I don't think I've asked you this. How are you? I've been talking my ass off since we first connected like 10 minutes ago, but we're approaching middle of 2026. How are you feeling now that Eclipse is about to be unleashed into the world, man? Tell me how you are, dude.
Man, I'm feeling great. The last time I made a rock record, the Singularity 2024, I thought it almost killed me, man. It was so intense. And right before that, I had just finished writing a season of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, and that almost killed
Yeah.
me. I had two near-death experiences. Now, how's my 2026 so far? Dude, I just finished a new season of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, and a new Singularity rock record at the same time. Like they landed right on each other in the schedule. And I remember last year around this time looking at the schedule and realizing what was going to happen and thought, can I do this? Can I survive this? But I'm here, man. I made it. I survived. The record's coming out July 31. Lord of the Rings drops November 11. And I've been juggling a whole bunch of other fun projects too. It's not like it's only those two things, but man, it's been great. I'm alive. What can I say?
How do you find the time? How? Like, are you an alien? Are you are you
I
human?
I I thrive on multitasking. I'm probably a classic workaholic. Like, I remember like on my birthday a few months ago, I called my mom at like 9:45 at night, and I was like, "Hey, I got a bunch of work done, wrote some cues, listened to some mixes, sent some stuff to Gene Hoglan. Like, I'm good.
Mhm.
I'm pretty good." And she goes, What are you gonna do for your birthday?" And I was like, "I'm gonna take the rest of the night off." You
And
know?
deservedly so.
Yeah, that was my birthday. I'll stop
Yeah,
work at 9:45. Man, it's a lot. I mean,
sure.
joking aside, I'm trying to balance my family life. I've got two kids, and I've got yeah, just things I want to do with my life. I'm trying not to put it all into work, but I love my work, man. So it's when you get to do what I get to do every day, it's hard not to spend all your time on it.
It's crazy how we look like twins right now, this specific second.
Yeah, there you go.
I cut my hair. It's been like growing. I'm gonna see how long I can grow it. Hey, thanks for sharing all that, man. I know a lot of people. You mentioned Lord of the Rings, right? A lot of people know your work through, of course, works like Battlestar Galactica, God of War, The Walking Dead, of course. Where you're helping shape someone else's universe emotionally through music. You can even put it that way. But the singularity, right? This album,
Yeah.
this feels different because this is your world entirely. I begin to think like, what was the experience been like stepping from scoring, stories into fully creating and steering your own mythology through an album like this?
It's been terrifying making the two Singularity records that I have now made. Terrifying, but exhilarating because I realized that while I was achieving a lot of success, undeniable success in my career as a composer for hire,
Hmm.
um, there was something missing, Sonny. There was something I needed in my life, and I realized that I needed to be an artist. Like part of the reason I write music is to explore the human condition as I experience it. It's the only way I make sense of the world. And I was starting to go crazy, dude. After uh, in 2018, when I started making rock records, um, I started going
Wow.
crazy. I started going crazy, man. And so I realized I have to set that aside for a minute and see what I have to say as an artist. I'll never forget the first day that I woke up in the morning and I started writing songs for what would become the Singularity. I came into my studio and I closed a window for God of War Ragnarok that was in full production at that moment. And I said, "All right, I'm gonna write a song." Opened up a blank session, and then oh man, I started feeling sick. I
Hmm.
think I have food poisoning. I'm dizzy. I went into the bathroom. I like put my hands on the rim of the toilet and sat there like, "Oh my God." And then I realized, wait, I'm not sick. My brain, my body was telling me like, "You don't get to do this. You need to work on the scores that are paying you. That's your job." And I had to overcome this fear, like a biological reaction that's like, "Do I get to do this?" And I came back in the studio. I started writing, um, and it was incredible, man. I mean, it really changed my
Hmm.
outlook on my art, on my life. My scoring career got better. My attitude got better. Everything just got better because I'm able to spend some time exploring what I have to say as an artist, which makes it easier than when I sort of switch roles and I go back to writing some music for a television show or a movie or a game. Makes it easier to say, okay, well, what do you want? Because tomorrow I'm gonna write a song with Slash or whatever. Like I'll do whatever you want today because
Yeah.
I'm getting to do what I want tomorrow.
Here's the thing, Bear. Before we jump into the album, all these venues that you're telling me that you've composed over throughout your career, whether it's, television, video games, music, for someone like you, does it help? Because it seems like it taps into a different dimension of Bear that you're not able to tap in if you just stick to one ensemble for the rest of for one career, right? Like if you just did music throughout your career, maybe there's some part of you that's missing. Like, no, let me do a video game. Now you get to unleash that side, and now you get to unleash TV shows. You kind of, I feel like you've explored that along the way. It's not like you just set that stone from day one, and be like, okay, I'm gonna compose and do work for different venues throughout this entire artist that makes up
I,
the medium,
I
And
love
it's a crazy question, but
no, I love switching gears. I love exploring different things, and I love exploring different ways of making different things. So, next year I'm going to go is the world premiere of my first stage musical. I'm writing a stage musical, man, and
dude,
that's been going on. It's called Particle Fever, and it's about the discovery of the Higgs boson at the Large Hadron Collider in CERN. It is an earnest, kick-ass, awesome musical about the discovery of this the profound thing that holds our universe together. While I'm doing that, I'm scoring God of War. I'm making rock records. Even the way I make rock records itself, I do it a dozen different ways because of all the people that I work with. So I want to learn how making a song with Stuart Copeland is different than making a song with Chad Smith and Duff McKagan or Steve Vai and Tim Henson. These are
yeah,
or writing a song with Joe Duplantier from Gojira. Every artist that I collaborate with, I get to learn from them the way they like to create their art. So I think there's something about the way my brain is wired that craves um, that kind of change and challenge, and ultimately like being able to being able to make my own rock record meant I could do that on my own terms. I don't have to wait for somebody to bring me a movie, which is awesome. I love it when people bring me movies, but I'm also able to sort of steer my creative outlet toward what I'm interested in.
I love that response. Would you say you would even go far as saying you're switching gears constantly? Do you find this as sort of like a therapeutic way to get through life in a way because you're able to just compose music
I think
over and
so.
over and over again because people have a way of coping, right? I feel like the way you're describing it to me, it's like a therapeutic release you get when you get to write this. It's one thing to go from pen to paper, right? But it's nothing to actually unleash it in the world for other people to hear, and you're shaping another person's journey, maybe another on another side of the world. That, oh my God, they get it.
That part of it really was a surprise early in my career because I think part of it is therapeutic. Now that you mention it, I don't think about this a lot, but now that you mention it,
Hmm.
I've been writing music every day since I was 12. When I was about 12, I started writing with my keyboard, my Yamaha PSR 510, and my mom got me a 4-track cassette recorder. I started making music. I started writing scores for imaginary movies. But when I say I was writing every day, I mean before school, after school, every day. I have so many memories of sitting in my bedroom when I was in high school, staring out the window with my headphones on, just being taken away to fantasy worlds. I was writing cues for imaginary movies. Um, for a perfect example of this, I actually released one of my demos from high school. It's a song called "Escape from the Machines." You can find it on Spotify. The recording is from
Okay.
1990. The original recording is from 1996, and it is also on in a new recorded form, the Singularity 2024. Only instead of my high school buddy Ryan playing guitar, it's Slash and Joe Satriani. But it's the same song, Sonny. It's the same song, right? I just sat there um, getting to travel in my mind to these other places. I think it's why I was originally drawn to film. Um, when I started doing things that people heard, because basically I wrote music for years that my mom heard, my friends, but nobody really, I don't want to say nobody cared. My mom cared, but very few other people
Shout out to
cared.
mom.
Exactly. But I just got better and better and honed my craft and just kept doing what I was doing. And then I started collaborating with people and doing student films. And my first real job that went out in the world was this show, Battlestar Galactica. And the first season aired, and I started getting emails from fans that really kind of shook me because not only were they saying like, "Oh, your music means a lot to me," that alone was shocking. Like, oh my god! But I would get emails from Iraq, and there'd be a serviceman who said, "Hey, I had to bury my friend today who was killed in the line of duty." And you have a song on Battlestar Galactica called Two Funerals. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I know this. It was written for a military funeral in the universe of Battlestar Galactica. And it horrified me at first, thinking, well, wait. You're using it in a real military funeral? Like, wait, I can't handle this pressure. I'm writing a friggin' TV show. But I had to like wrap my head around this. Like, wait a minute. When I'm now putting music in something as big as Battlestar Galactica, it takes on a life of its own. Someone I don't know is going to experience it even outside of how I intended it. That was it was ultimately a beautiful experience, but it opened my mind up to the possibility that, when you create a piece of art and you put it out in the world, you lose some ownership of it. You're
Hmm.
giving it away
Yeah.
to the world, and so it makes me think I really wasn't writing music when I started because I wanted people to hear it. Otherwise, I would have sort of been prepared for that, right? I was writing music because I loved the process and I loved music and I wanted to deconstruct how to do it. And then I was sort of successful before I even occurred to me that, oh my God, people are going to listen to my music. Like, what does that mean? you know?
Man, do you still have that Yamaha? I'm curious.
Yes, I do. I have it in storage because it's like those sounds. And if what's funny, if you go to my Spotify, you hear the demo of Escape from the Machines. When you hear the real Escape from the Machines from 2024, it
Hmm.
starts with the same keyboard. I couldn't make it sound better than the way the Yamaha PSR 510 hit the tape saturation of the old cassette tape on the I mean, like, I didn't know what I was doing. I just know if I turned it up it got better sounding. So, yeah, man, I mean, I'm a pack rat. I keep all that stuff.
Oh my gosh. Maybe we could just go down that timeline for hours, but I appreciate you mentioning that too. That whoever that person was who messaged you about burying his uh what is it?
I mean, his friend,
yeah, his friend,
yeah.
his whoever that person was in his unit, I mean, that's a memory like that. It's so tangible that it really just it can reach out to anybody else who's hearing this podcast when it drops. Like it really resonates. And I'm sure that person probably remembers it too. That top,
I,
I don't even know
and
if you
what's in,
respond. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, what's interesting, right? If I was writing that scene, and I still think about this, if I was writing that scene in Battlestar Galactica, which itself is very moving, it's very difficult to write incredibly emotional music. You have, I don't know about you, I have to go there. I'm like a method actor. If someone said to me, like, you got to write this scene for this TV show. Oh, by the way, it's got to be done by Tuesday, but it has to be so good that some stranger you don't know will find solace in it in a real funeral. I would
Dude.
curl up in the fetal position. Like I can't handle that pressure. Right now, I can find these emotions in the story and write something, and I can sort of hope that it is worthy of that kind of second life,
Uh-huh.
but you kind of can't think about that when you're writing music because I mean it's too much to think about.
Hey, you mentioned pressure. Do you feel any of that at this point in your career, Bear? You've done so much, but now you're making new music. I Or is it just, hey, this is just what I love to do. I don't feel pressure. Fuck this. Sorry, excuse my
Oh,
language, but
ultimately, I don't feel anything different than I felt when I was 12, which is a burning, intense feeling that I want to get better at
yeah.
what I'm doing.
Okay.
And there's my heroes do this thing. How do they do it? And then I listen to my thing and I'm like, it's getting there. But how can I learn? How can I get better? That still motivates me, and I think that that is the fuel in the fire. I think if I didn't feel that, um I don't even know why I would write music. You know what I mean? like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I
Um, can I add on to that? You mentioned your heroes. I want to transition this because Singularity, right? This album continues the story from the first Singularity record. You briefly mentioned it, but Eclipses seems darker and more emotionally charged. I want to add a little bit beef to that because the title
All right.
itself, who doesn't know, people who don't know, the title itself comes from the Greek word for abandonment. There's a real sense of disillusionment and throughout the material. As I'm talking about this, right? Was there, when you look at your creative DNA, who are some of the artists or composers that really shaped the way you hear music? If you can touch on that for a little
Well,
bit.
the initial round was all film music.
Hmm.
Film music is what ignited my imagination. It was all I listened to exclusively until I was like 13. So John Williams, Jerry Goldsmith, Basil Polidorus, Danny
Yeah.
Elfman, Alan Silvestri, Ennio Morricone, Nino Rota, Shirley Walker. This was like the James Horner. This was the first round that like people writing music that really caught my ear. And then I started discovering through cinema largely how epic rock could be. And I discovered Queen, I discovered Pink Floyd, discovered Oingo Boingo, I discovered Guns N' Roses. Um, this was like the first branch of like rock music that made me start to think about those similarities, and then sort of like the last step, really the very tail end of it, was discovering metal and realizing that so much of what I love about film music is in metal music.
Yeah.
And it's actually funny the way I discovered it. I just became friends socially with a lot of people in the metal scene. Became friends with Serge Tankian. Became friends with Brendan Small from Def Clock. And
Hey,
uh,
I just spoke to him, by the way. Brendan, great guy.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, he's a great and a
Yeah.
just
Mastermind.
and a disgustingly talented. I mean, my God, just an incredible
Yeah.
guy. Um, but I was out to dinner with Brendan and Scott Ian from Anthrax, and this is all music I knew,
Hmm.
but I just hadn't absorbed yet. And this is now, I don't know, 15, 17 years ago. I mean, it was, obviously Metalocalypse is on the air at this point, and we're talking, and Scott Ian looks at me and he goes, "Hey man, I know you. "You're the Battlestar Galactica guy." And I go, "Yep, that's me." And he goes, "There's one thing I know about you. You love Sepultura." Now, I did not know much about, so I just went, Re- "Really?" And he goes, "Bear, when I hear those taiko drums, I know this is a man who appreciates Sepultura. I just know it." And I was like, "Cool, man." But then I got in my car to drive home, and I think I got home and I started listening to Sepultura, and I was like, "Oh my God, Scott, you were right! Like, I love Sepultura. This is amazing. How did I miss this? You know what I mean? Like, so that then it was just like the deep dive. Um, you know, it was sort of over for me by that point. But I think it's my journey, my musical journey is the inverse of what it is for many people that I get into popular music forms, and then as they get older will get into more symphonic music
Yeah.
forms. You know what I mean? That's a very common. I mean, I already mentioned Danny Elfman. Let's mention him, right? That it's like he was in Oingo Boingo, he was in a rock band,
Yeah.
and then started writing symphonic music and learned how to do that. So I just, in many ways, did the opposite of what a lot of people have done, and started off fully in a symphonic training, and put in my 10,000 hours there several times, and then discovered that, oh, rock is just like the next thing that fits there. And here we are. I'm putting out my second metal record.
Gosh, Bear, I want to pick your brain on so many things, but I know I don't have the time. But we'll do that part two sometime in the future. Here's the thing, dude. We mentioned names. I'm gonna mention a few more because the one thing that immediately stands out about this album, as I'm gonna tie it into what you just said, is the freaking guest list, bro. I mean, you mentioned you mentioned people from completely different corners of heavy music and rock, of course, movies as well. You mentioned Joe Duplantier, Slash. I want to mention, of course, what is it? Claudio Sanchez, Jens Kidman, Elisa
Yeah.
White Glues, Patrick Stump. But somehow all this sounds just cohesive. Also, I'm gonna shout out to your brother, who's
Brendan. Yeah.
he was amazing. I looked at the track list. I was listening to some of these tracks. He can rap. He can sing.
Yeah.
He can. I don't know. I don't even think you got. He's even human at this point.
I gotta say, like, having him in the family, and he is the secret weapon to me being able to put out a metal record, because he's such a strong vocalist, lyricist, co-writer, co-composer. He was the guy that I sent some demos to, and then I was like, all right, if he'll tell me if this sucks. This was, when I first started. He'll tell me if this sucks. And
Always check with
he
your
started.
brother.
Always, man. I know. Yeah, it's amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah, he did a great job. Also, is it your wife who's in
Yeah,
this too? Man,
my
those two people. I know you have all these like stars on there, but man, I got to give a shout out to your wife. Her name is leaving
Rhea,
me.
Rhea. It's Rhea.
Rhea,
Yeah,
and your brother. They did absolutely amazing. I feel like they were really, to me, they were the heart and the soul of when it comes to the vocal compositions of this album. I come from a family of musicians, Bear. So my mom's a singer. My brothers are both musicians. We
nice.
all we all come from that. We all play classical instruments too. Like go figure. But I pay attention to those things, and when you're adding those two people along with Claudia, along with Jens, Tim Henson, do you approach it as almost like casting characters in a film?
It's having that, like, core foundation, and in particular, with Brendan, who's a co-producer on the record with me and co-writer on all the songs, maybe, yeah, most, if not
Yeah.
all. So having him there, it creates this identity in the record that I think is the key to having all these different people, each of whom is like a mega musical personality, each of whom could be and should be this total outlier on a record. You can't just like casually drop Joe Duplantier on a record and be like, oh, he blends right in. Like, he sounds like no one else,
That
right?
track was crazy, by the way. Like you could
Oh,
tell
thank
it
you,
was
man.
Joe. Like Gojira is my favorite band personally, and I've got to meet Joe a couple of times. I'm like, Soon as the first 10 seconds of that track started, he wasn't even singing, by the way. I don't want to give the song
Yeah.
away, but you could tell, oh, Joe's gonna come in
So
at some
I
point.
Joe was very high. He was at the top of my wish list for people I wanted to work with on the second record. So I met him when he played LA with Korn and Evanescence. What a show. It was amazing. So I met him backstage and we're hanging out
That was like 2 years ago.
and yeah, just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And and I get his number. So we're texting the next day and I was like, "How would you like to write a song with me in a Bulgarian women's choir?" That was my pitch, right? Just to be
I,
like, here's an idea. What do you think? And he was like, yes, I'm in. And that's how we got to Black Box.
Um, I feel like that question right there, the whole Bulgarian thing, it's you're kind of tapping into Joe's niche already because his background and just the way he sings, you like he even knows like, oh, that's I know why he's approaching me with that type of
Totally.
subject. Yeah, and that track was ridiculous. That's the one I probably broke
Uh,
the replay button on the most. But
Thanks, bro.
um,
Yeah, so, but I mean, just to come back to your question, it
yeah,
creates this context, having this relationship with Brendan, this musical and literal family relationship with Brendan McCreary, that allows us then to make a space for all these different people, and we adapt our workflow. For Joe Duplantier, it was very hands on, and we co-wrote that song, the three of us. I mean, and ultimately, the only way to make it happen creatively was Joe flew out here to LA for 2 days. We just hung out and worked on that song for like 12 hours a day. Um, for other people, like Chad Smith and Duff McKagan. I'm hanging with these
forgot about
guys.
those guys.
Look,
Jeez,
I mean,
the list
look,
just keeps going.
these guys, they write together.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
love hanging out. So we decided we're like, okay, well, we'll hop in the studio. We'll just record something. We walked into the studio with almost nothing. I say almost nothing because Duff sent me a voice memo and he was like, "Hey man, I'm just messing around and do 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 do," and I was like, instantly heard. I was like, "This riff is amazing." Like Duff is such an underrated writer.
Yeah,
It's incredible.
yeah.
So we went into the studio with almost nothing. 4 hours later, we've got the catchiest tune on the record. Cool Kids is mostly done. Even the lyrics were mostly done. So that was an experience that was also very hands-on, very collaborative, very creative. And then sometimes it's like I'll be working on a song with my brother, and then we just realize like, uh, gosh, like maybe like the Chandelier, the Patrick Stump one, is one that
Yeah.
we had written. My brother and I wrote that song together, and then we were realizing like, God, Patrick would just kill it on this tune, and I sent it to him, and there wasn't a lot of creative wiggle room in the writing, but he heard something that he knew he could do vocally, and then he brings just this incredible performance, just an incredible performance to the Chandelier, which is funny because you would think like it feels like he co-wrote it with us, but he didn't, you know. So it just depends on where things land and what people want to do. Sometimes we hit people up and it's like, hey, how'd you like to play a solo on this? And then we end up, that doesn't materialize, but we end up co-writing something together. Like however people like to work is how I want to work with them.
When you talk about these names, composing a song with Patrick Stump or Joe or Chad Smith. I began to think from day one to the final day of when the song is finished. Do you have a specific sound from day one, Bear, or does it just evolve into the final monster that I am hearing on?
I think there is a completely unavoidable bear quality to
Uh-huh.
this that I can't help because all of it goes through my lens as a producer. As it's why the artist name on this record is my name, not like a band or like Huey Lewis and the News. It's just my name. This is my thing. It's my
Yeah.
party. Everybody's invited, but it's my party. Um, like I remember even on Cool Kids when I'm talking about this riff that Duff walked in and played.
Yeah.
During the break, we were all sitting on the couch. Duff had an acoustic, and Chad was like literally drumming on the table, and Brendan is singing, and we're sitting there and we're talking. And at the end of the chorus, I'm like, "Well, why don't we do? We should do this. No, 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 not that. Do this other chord." And I pitched this chord, and I remember Duff looks at me and he goes, That's so weird, man. That's a bear chord. That's a total bear chord right there." And of course, I was like, Duff McKagan knows my sound well enough that he's calling me out on like my chord, but I was also like, that is so awesome, right? And it's just a perfect example of like, even with personalities as big as those guys, musical and otherwise, that there's still this communal sense of like, we're all contributing. And kind of at the end of the day, like, I am the final judge of what ends up on the record. And Singularity Ekleipsis, you used the word focus, which I really appreciate. I realized I wanted to make a more focused record than my 2024 Singularity record. So a lot of that honing of the sound actually came in all the songs that didn't make the cut. There's so many unreleased and even mostly finished songs. I mean, I had to stop writing songs and put a record out because I couldn't keep track of them anymore. It was starting to affect my mental
Mhm.
health. Like there's too many songs. I have to like focus, and then we can, then we'll work on the next record.
There's about 15 tracks on here with Overture 2 leading it off. Bro, is it even fair to ask you what's your favorite track on here?
It's a
Uh,
difficult one. I mean,
I'm looking through it myself.
what's your favorite track? I have yet to speak to many people that have listened to it top to bottom that weren't involved.
This may be out of nowhere. My personal favorite is the Elephant's Foot.
All right, right
Yeah.
on, dude.
So because it's not so Jens Kidman, right? Jens
Yeah,
Kidman. Like if you're in the heavy metal culture, whatever it is, the industry, like people know he's from Meshuggah, but he's not a name you see him become a guest. You did such a genius move, Bear, bringing someone like Jens, giving the spotlight to him. Not like he doesn't have the spotlight already with Meshuggah, but it put a different kind of set of eyes towards him, if I can say that, that people may not have been exposed to Jens before, that now they're like, who is this guy?
yeah.
Now they will probably be exposed to Meshuggah that may have appreciated in the past. That's
I,
my
I
way of thinking. You see these names, Brendan, Stuart Copeland, Raya, Tim Henson, Steve Vai, Claudio San. I don't mean to repeat myself, like all these names, right? And then you see Jens Kidman. Whoa, where did he come from? You immediately, even like the name. That's like a
yeah.
Meshuggah song, you know?
Yes. Well, it's funny. I that was a song that was very complicated and had a lot of different sections, and it got quiet, and it
I
was like 3
can't
minutes.
begin to imagine how that was for you, bro. Like the way
Well,
you
dude,
composed,
check it out.
yeah.
So I sent it to Jens, and he was like, we were bouncing it back and forth because he said he would sing it, and then finally he was like, we got on the phone, and he was like, "Bro, I just don't, I just don't get all these sections. This is called the elephant's foot. It's about Chernobyl. Okay, it is about human hubris. The elephant's foot is a pile of sludge." At the base of Chernobyl that will poison that land for 10,000 years. So Jens says, this is a freight train. This riff is so massive. Don't do this. Don't do that. Send me the stems. Just send me the song. And I go, okay. And he just takes scissors to it.
Wow.
Out, out, out. And he tightens it and tightens it. And then he sings the vocal and he sends it back to me. And he's like, all right, what do you think? And I'm sitting here thinking, like, hey, lead singer of Meshuggah, who just made my song devastatingly heavy, right? I'm like, yeah, Jens, it's good. I like it. Um, I love Jens because, like, this is now uh, the third thing we've done together. He was on Singularity 2024, and I
Yeah,
brought him
he
on to Lord of
was.
the Rings. I brought him on to Lord of the Rings, and we did a death metal song for the Rings of Power. Um,
Wait, hold
we
on.
did we
Okay.
did a death metal song for the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. Let that sink in. I love that you didn't know this. You have to check it out.
Oh,
It's so insane
don't
that
tell me
I,
this
I
now.
I pitched it to Amazon and the showrunners, and I was like, guys, like, this is crazy, but like,
Oh my
I just
God.
think we ought to bring in Jens. And I called Jens and I was like, dude, would you do a death metal song for Rings? I was at oh, what show was I at? I think I was at an Animals as Leaders show, and somebody just pulled me aside and they just go, You're the guy who did Meshuggah on Lord of the Rings," and I was like, "Sure." Like, but it's like you were saying, like that put Jens's voice on a plat. And by the way, his moment in Rings of Power is so ridiculously awesome. In the seventh episode, he's in the episode. You hear him, but then
Um,
it's Smash.
Spotify? No?
It's on there. Yeah, it's on.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
on
Okay,
the
okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you. I got
Rings
you.
of Power soundtrack, season two. It's called "The Last Ballad of Damrod" is the name of the song, and it's good.
Hold
So
on.
my point is, oh, you're looking for it right now,
No, no, I
dude.
got it. I got it. I got it. I got it right here.
Dig it
Yeah,
up.
I got it. I got it saved. I got it right there.
All
Lord,
right, right
Lord of the
on,
Rings
right
season
on.
two. Um,
So my point is, here's my point. Actually, it's not my point, but it's the point I'm making now.
yeah.
This is where my metal record passion and all those relationships bleeds over into my scoring career, because no one in their right mind would get hired to score Lord of the Rings and then go, I want to do a death metal song with Jens Kidman, right? But it totally works. The showrunners trusted me. The fans trusted me. Like when it came out, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get roasted. And everybody was like, that was pretty great. It was pretty good, man.
I love how you said bleeds into, get it? Bleed, because
There you go.
um
There you go.
okay, I got a couple more questions. We're gonna wrap this up here in a second. Hey, I do want to mention the that West Coast tour for this record that you mentioned. That's really exciting because a lot of people primarily associate you with composing behind the scenes, right?
Yeah,
Dude,
man.
what has it been like translating something this layered and cinematic into a live environment? See,
Well,
God,
it's
I maybe I just need to come see you, bro. Like this now that I'm
dude,
talking about it. It's
you
like
got you got to come out. You got to come out and see it. Playing live and touring has just been like the next most wonderful chapter in my life because I'm playing. I'd say about half the set is from the Singularity records, and the other half I'm doing rock and metal performances of God of War, Walking Dead, Battlestar Galactica, Lord of the Rings. Like it all translates, and part of the reason it translates is that I think these mediums are very similar. Like that opening riff of the God of War theme that I wrote for Kratos. Bum bum
yeah,
bum.
yep.
Bum bum bum. So when I do that in drop C on a guitar, like it sounds great.
I
Okay, it
literally
sounds
have that in the
great.
next room. That's insane.
So my point is getting to do it live has just been a blast, man. So we're playing Europe at the end of July. I'm playing the
Yeah.
Wacken Open Air Festival, and then we're doing the West Coast. I didn't do the West Coast last year, so it's going to be a blast.
Is there's I don't want to give anything away, but I don't want to make you announce to something. Is there something down the road you may be extending, like another, like a part two tour after this run,
I,
or
I I would say you should definitely come see me now
okay,
because I'm not
can
being
do.
coy when I'm like, no, this is it for this year. Um, so
And, and that makes sense. I'm looking through the tour dates. California.
also so I'm on tour with my brother Brendan and I'm taking Gene Hoglan with me, the Atomic Clock himself. So you want to
Man,
see Gene Hoglan play God of War? It's pretty heavy, man.
I'm looking at the Magnolia in San Diego, California, September 15th. That may be the one because San Diego is my favorite place in the entire world. Probably
There
people
you
are like,
go.
what? Why San Diego? No, San Diego's awesome.
I love
Um,
San Diego.
hey, Bear, uh, dude, I don't want to take up too much of your time. This has been honestly such an awesome conversation. Seriously, I know what really, I'm just gonna close this out here because what really stands out about the Singularity Eclipse is how fearless it feels, and whether
Oh,
people
thank
know
you.
whether people know you from film, television, gaming, or now this project, right? There's this constant drive that I see that you keep pushing boundaries and building worlds that feels immersive and emotional. Like you've been doing this professionally, dude, like for over 2 decades now, going all the way to Battlestar Galactica and '04. after everything you've accomplished already, I love how humble you are, and it still feels like you're still finding new ways to challenge yourself creatively. That's really
Yeah.
cool, which is really inspiring to see. I feel like this question I'm about to ask, it warrants this as we're discussing it. If you could go back and give advice to the version of yourself just starting out under Elmer Bernstein all those years ago, man,
Yeah.
what do you think you'd tell him?
Boy, I don't know. It's tricky because sometimes I think about the amount of work that I've put in and the crazy journey that is life for all of us and all the things that happen in 20 years. And I'm like, God, I'm glad I didn't know. I'm glad I didn't know all that stuff. That I'm just taking things in the moment. Um, I think um I it's gonna sound ironic coming from a confessed workaholic. But I think I'm going to say like, um, I would say like, hey man, slow down and really make sure you're savoring this. That you are savoring even this feeling of like, I'm barely paying my rent, living in an apartment off credit cards because all the money I'm making from Battlestar Galactica season 1, I'm putting into like recording the score, right? Like I'm going into debt because I want this score to sound cool. And I wouldn't say don't do that, but I'd say like, hey man, like go out to dinner with your girlfriend or hang out with your friends for a minute. Like definitely, that's a thing that I started thinking about in my 30s, and I still struggle with immensely today. But back then, man, like my 20s, dude, I was nonstop, you know I think maybe the lesson when you zoom out and look at it is like
Yeah,
things are going to happen the way they're going to happen to a degree. Like if you put in that extra 2 hours of work a day, there are times, yes, when that matters, but there are times when for me that's just a habit. Like Battlestar Galactica will get done, it'll get done, you know what I mean? There are probably times that like I could have connected with people more or just done other things that especially in my 20s, I didn't do. So I don't know. Maybe that's the advice I would give. At the same time, I feel like I'm a little wiser now. And the
sure.
reason I know how valuable that is because I like spent my 20s the way I spent my 20s. You know what I mean? And like, honestly, kind of almost cratered at 30, burning out. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? So even then, I have kind of no regrets. Maybe I would just sort of smile and be like, hey, man, you have no idea how crazy the ride ahead is going to be. Just buckle up.
That's a good answer too. You know, we always say things like, "Oh, I would change this, I would change that," but it's like you wouldn't change anything because it shaped you who you are, like you just said. So it's a great
Totally.
answer, and I love that you were open and transparent about that.
Well, what
Maybe
about you,
may,
man? What about you 20
ah
years ago? What would you say to your 20-year-old self?
oh my, I don't think anyone's ever asked me this.
Gotcha.
See, no, it's good. That's a good question. It makes you think about how much dedication you have to your craft to build to what you have today. It's thing like this. I didn't know I would be doing this today, right? I would probably say focus on what you've built and don't worry about any of the noise that's around you because there will always, you know this, dude, there will always be noise around us, in front of us, backwards. You just focus on what's in front of you, and that's what's important. I probably could have done a better job of that 20 years ago. Maybe I wouldn't be in this apartment. Maybe I wouldn't, who knows what I would be doing, right? Again,
Yeah.
maybe I wouldn't change anything because that would shape me into who I am today. So thank
Yeah.
you, twin, for asking me that the way around. Hey, I'm gonna end things here, but if you could just stick around for like 30 seconds after I finish recording,
Sure.
I just want to add. Do you have any last words, any shout outs, anything else like to plug in or mention as far as the new album, maybe a
Well,
new music video, or
uh,
I don't want you to
I,
give anything away, but
all right. I would say, keep an eye out on social media for updates. My Instagram is usually up to date. I am also everywhere else. Come check out the tour in Europe and West Coast. Check out the record dropping July 31.
Looking through our clouded eyes, a dark thought on all our minds as we race to our demise.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Interview Under Fire podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share our channel. And please leave a 5-star review, as that helps us tremendously. If you'd like to check out more, visit www.interviewunderfire.com or our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And finally, we want to thank you all for the support you've been giving us. Keep it burning.